Hey, so I wanted to do this video and find out what the general mindset was on can silver surpass gold. So it's something that's put out there by a lot of the guys that promote and speak about silver, and it's something that a lot of people know about, and that's the fact that many have said that when the time comes, silver will be more valuable than gold. Now it's interesting because it's one of the many benefits of silver that some people may know about, but it's people's mindsets on that actual thing right there. Now, do you believe silver can go on to be more valuable than gold in terms of just importance and value? So I'm going to give my thoughts on that and what I think, and it'd be fantastic if everybody else can give their opinions on that in the comments, on whether you think it's wishful thinking or it's never going to happen, and why. So when it comes to just that thought there, whether silver can surpass gold, I think it can, but I don't think it will anytime soon, and I'll break into why I think it can. We all know that silver in general has a lot more uses than gold. So straight off the bat, when you're looking at the both of them, in terms of importance, silver is extremely more important. So it makes you wonder once again, and especially things like this have me looking at things, and it doesn't make me put the tin foil hat on, but you are left with questions that can't be answered. So if you're looking at one thing that is more important than the other, then why isn't it costing more than the other? So it's one of the only things, and especially when you have an individual or people put out there that it's manipulated, so it works in its favor of that being true when you're looking at a metal that is down there used in everything, in everyday part of our life, but yet it's at such a low price. Where you're looking at the other metal, since people have been pulling this stuff out the ground, it's still about in abundance. I mean, it is used in industry, but nowhere on the levels that silver is. So just off that alone, I think it's one of the many qualities that we're going to need a mindset change for silver to really take its place. But when you're looking at where we are technologically on the planet today, and just in time in general, I think as time goes forward, now we're not even talking about solar panels and the likes of, when you're looking at something like technology, I believe there's a lot of things that are being held back that silver could be also playing a larger role in. When I say that, if you look at something like the internet, it's fantastic where we are today and what it does for people in general and how free it's made people. But you could see if somebody wanted to really control the masses and just have people more under control, the internet is actually a pain in the ass, because it's connecting people and it's making the world a lot smaller place. And the faster your connection is and the faster speeds are, the more things you can get done online. So I think that's one of the technologies, whereas if you had a group of people that didn't want us moving too fast, they would have definitely suppressed something like that. So I think there are also a lot of other technologies out there, whereas they can put more of a dampener on it before it builds up any momentum. And I think that's definitely the case right here. So I think when it comes to because at the moment the big pushing force for silver is solar panels and electric cars. Whereas when we look at electric cars now, you have companies like Uber and insurance companies. I think they're the main factors really pushing driverless cars. If it wasn't for them, there'd be no reason why we'd even be looking at electric. And I still think we're many, many years away before we're fully electric and not dependent on fossil fuels. But it's big steps and advancements like that. I mean, looking at where we are today, we could have had self-driving cars 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and that would have been another big factor for something like this. So I think why it hasn't taken its place as the number one is that it's been suppressed technologically as well. So it's been suppressed from all angles, and these are all just my own personal opinions. I mean, if you talk to a more mature stacker, when I say more mature stacker, I'm referring to an individual that's been stacking for decades. So we're talking 20 years plus. They've seen every type of pumper come and go. They've heard every type of reason for why this is better than that. And I'll be selfish and say I've been stacking for give or take 3 years, and I sincerely do believe that any time now, within now to 2020, as I've mentioned before, can be the key time. Is now's the best time to be alive and stacking. So I can see why they'd be dubious or skeptical about it, but I really think a lot is happening right now, and that it's a real time-changing event, whereas many things need to be set in place because we're at a real stalemate just in general in life. There's a lot of uncertainties and a lot of things, and a lot of things need to happen in terms of we need to find out who's the boss once and for all, and we just need peace and none of this scribbling, or we just need a crash. Well, when I say a lot of things are happening, those are the kind of things I'm referring to. So it's putting silver in a stalemate, and that it's not able to really push forward and reach its true value and its true potential. So these are the reasons why I think when that time comes, now I don't think we'll personally see that time when we see a price increase. Whereas with a price increase, you'll get the mindset change, and the masses will now start to understand, okay, this is where money has been and this is where my money needs to be. But once you see stuff like that and then people start taking on board the actual benefits and the quality of the stuff, it's the people's minds that create the buzz and create the push into it. Once everybody understands it, some of the mindset, whereas if everybody on the planet had the information about precious metals, there's no reason why they wouldn't stack it. It's one of those things where people say, well, if it's so precious, why do they accept fiat currencies for it? And it's that's along the lines of basically saying, well, if they know it's going to be better than gold, then why aren't they stacking that? But I feel like it's one of those answers where you just say back, if they've created this big Ponzi scam or this big hoorah where they've told you fiat is king, they need to give the impression that they're also playing into this big charade. So they're not going to say fiat is king and be stacking precious metals on the side, which is what they actually do. All nations have a gold reserve for a reason, but I think in the long run, I've mentioned this before, all metals end up back in their vaults. If you control the world banks, at some point, the small man like myself and people of the likes have to end up selling their metals to go on to purchase other things. And this is just to get by in the world. They've already taken care of the top part. They own the land that we'll be purchasing property on. They own the banks and the mainframe and the infrastructure that we're going to be exchanging and working within. So they don't need to worry about hoarding this stuff. They know that in the long run, it will always end up back in their hands. So they can give the impression that this stuff is true junk and worthless and fiat is king, because in the long run, it always ends up back in their hands. None of us are stacking this stuff to keep within our generations for the next 300 years, whereas their system has it in place where that's what they've basically done. As long as it all comes back to their vaults, it will all literally come back to them. You could be talking pieces of art and of the likes. Once you're in that billionaire status, I believe, a lot of the things always end up back on your table. So that's why they can give the impression that we'll take your fiat currency for this precious stuff, because in the long run, when you need to sell it, it will always end up back on our table. And that's what I think's happened with silver also. So I do believe that silver will go on to surpass gold, and those are the reasons why as we move forward. And I think now a lot of times there's a lot more bright sparks out there, so you can't be suppressed, whereas before the information wasn't out there, but that information has become a lot more available, as I've mentioned, via the web and the world becoming a smaller place. It's literally funding now for people to really go on and make these things you saw on Star Trek once upon a time. So once that also gets, that bridge gets shortened, whereas now they just need the funding, they have all the blueprints in place to really push forward, I think it's also going to work against them in bringing silver into its true position. There's absolutely no reason why this metal here shouldn't cost more than this metal here. And I mean, we will see a price correction for sure, but will we see the time? I mean, throughout time, I don't think that I know of silver has ever been more than gold. But we've got to remember, we're coming from damn near Stone Age. So it wasn't needed a fraction of as much as it's needed now in all types of industries. So as we move out and out further and even out into the stars, this is going to be the main thing over this, whereas this is still more than abundant tenfold. So it'd be fantastic to know what anybody and everybody else's opinion on this. I do personally believe that the time will come. I'm a new stacker, you know, call it wishful thinking, but I do see the time, and I do think without a doubt we're going to see it hopefully within our lifetime where silver does go on to surpass gold. So those are my reasons as to why I think that will definitely happen and why it definitely should be the case. There's no reason for why it shouldn't happen. It's a more superior product than this product right here. So hate or love it, go ahead and leave a comment. It'd be fantastic to know what you guys think of this. Go ahead and subscribe if you ain't done so already, and I'll catch you guys on the rebound.